Hello and good evening, everyone. How are you? I'm going to ask for whoever gets on to let me know if you can hear me, if I'm coming through loud and clear. My glasses are a bit smudged. But at any rate, good evening. I'm Karen's Carrots. I'm Karen Henderson on with Karen's Carrots. And this is my usual on Thursday at 7. How is everyone out there? How are you surviving the heat? For me, it's a switch because, the recent storms and all during my coveted hours Thursday at 7. But nonetheless, I am happy to be here. I'm doing fine. I'm doing great. I'm glad to be alive and in good health. And I hope that the folks out there in audio and visual land are doing well as well. So I thought I would do something a little different tonight. It was amusing to me, and hopefully, it's amusing, it's informational, and maybe even entertaining. Who knows? But I thought I would do this episode on who am I. And quite frankly, when I said that, it conjured up that TV show that, I may be dating myself because it, was way back when they had this TV show on Who Am I? And they would give some information, highlights about an individual, and the audience would have to guess, or rather, it was a panel there who had to guess um, who was that person they were identifying. At any rate, I'm glad to be here, and I thought I would just share a little bit about myself that may not have been out there on the airwaves. Took me down memory lane. Um, I'm born and raised in Philadelphia. Seven siblings. It was eight of us all together. I have five brothers and two sisters. Well, one sister has since passed, but I came up right in the heart of North Philadelphia with a very hard-working single mom. And even today, I think back on some of the things my mom told us, and it was hilarious. And it's also so interesting and relevant. Some of the things she told us then, how she taught us, how she brought us up to be hardworking. Play is for playtime. When it's work, you're serious. Um, Always good grades in school. There's no reason to, mess around and get anything less than, I guess, less than a C, but only if that was your best. So, nonetheless, I want to talk a little bit about that. I praise the Philadelphia school system often because it's what I came up in, and what I got so much value out of. And it's quite frankly, I consider it a huge part of my success. So, one of the things about growing up with that many siblings, I'm the fourth child. So I had two brothers and a sister ahead of me. And I always wanted to keep up with them. I wanted to keep up with my older siblings. I wanted to show that I could do what they did just as good as they did it. And I also loved school. I mean, I really loved school. It was heaven. Okay, let me get my banner up here. This is Karen's Carrots, with EAs in the C suite. That's my platform, my program. That is what I am totally passionate about because I dubbed this chapter one because, you can't tell everything in one sitting, but, maybe we'll have a beginning, a middle, and an end. But nonetheless, I wanted to keep up with them. I wanted to do what they did. So I was always slightly ahead in school, as a result of wanting to keep up with them. I love to read. And I can remember, I can't remember necessarily what grade it was in, but let's say it was before fourth grade. So the teacher gave me a book that was ahead. It was like the next book. And I was ready for that book before the rest of the class. And oh, I felt so special. Hi there, my dear. How are you? I have a friend. Are you, let's see. There you are. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Do you have the headphones? Maybe we can hear each other that way. It often keeps the echo out if we both use headphones. Okay. So she's going to go do that. Well, while she's doing that, so I'm telling you about school and how I got this book ahead of the rest of the class. And during those days, they taught us how to pronounce the words phonetically, right? So I was good at, maybe seeing a word that I hadn't come across before, but I could break it down phonetically. And one day I came across this word. I couldn't break it down. I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't focus on it to get a sound. It didn't, whatever sound I came out with, it didn't flow with what I was reading. Okay, so I didn't think that was right. Well, the word was behave. And I knew HAVE spell have, but it didn't sound right. Behave. And I just kept going through all of these pronunciations. And the truth of the matter is, I didn't want anyone to know I didn't know the word. I didn't want anyone to take the book from me. I hear something, Tammy.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Awesome.
Okay, I can. So I'm telling this story about when I was growing up and I was in school, and how really how teachers influenced us during those days. My own experience. You have your mic open on something, Tammy. I'm not sure what it is. I heard something moving. I'm not sure. That, whatever that was.
All right. How's that better?
Excellent.
Awesome.
So anyway, I think at the end of the day, I don't remember who I asked to help me with that word, but I got help. Now this is Tammy. I'm going to bring you in a moment. You're going to introduce yourself, and just to throw in here right now, this is the epitome of helping each other and supporting each other and coming together where we are with what we got to help lift each other to the next level. Would you agree, Tammy?
I would agree wholeheartedly.
Okay, so I'm so glad you're here. So this last thing I'm gonna tell you on my storybook life, quote quote. Um, I had a teacher in third grade. Her name was Mrs. Stone. And yes, she sort of symbolized that name. She was stern. She did not take any nonsense. I was impressed. I'm a good student. I'll do what Miss Stone says. I want to impress. And I was impressed by her. And she told me one day, you don't spell your name Karran. It's supposed to be spelled Karren. And I want you all to know from that day on, that's how I spelled my name. And I was telling my sister today, and she said, and mommy didn't say anything? I said, I don't even know if mommy knew. I mean, I didn't go tell her, I guess. I just remember the teacher saying that in such a way that I automatically did it. And when the day came many years later that I went to get a passport, I said, oh my goodness, my birth certificate says Karran, and I've been spelling my name all these years Karre. And well, I want you to know I got my passport. It didn't make any difference. Nobody said anything. So that's that. But let me just flip over. You know, God is so good. I didn't have a guest scheduled tonight, Tammy.
What?
But little did I know, God had a guest scheduled for me.
He had a
Everybody, I
guess.
want you to
Yes.
meet Tammy. Tammy is, I want to say, new friend, associate, colleague, co-worker. We're all in the same coaching group. And I want to put all those labels on her because that's how we work together. That's how we interact. And Tammy, would you go ahead and just introduce yourself? You can tell them how you got here. You can tell them what you all about. Anything you like, go right ahead.
Well, thank you, Karren, for first and foremost, I want to thank you for the invite. And I'll tell you a little bit of quick backstory of how I even got on today's call. And yes, I do believe that it was God intervened because we were on a coaching call last night and I had written Karen's name down so that I could send her a text about something we had just talked about in the class. And distractions came in the way and I forgot to do it. So I'm in the kitchen cooking dinner tonight and I'm like, okay, I'm going to stop right now and go text Karren what I was going to text her. And so when you allow God to lead you in everyday life, every aspect of what you do, he will lead you towards your purpose. He will lead you towards what you are supposed to be doing. And little did Karren and I both know that I was going to be on this call. And she's like, I'm going live in 5 minutes. Perfect. I'm going to come in, send me the link. And so I'm here as Tammy Jones. I am from Raleigh, North Carolina. I own a salon and I'm also a life coach. And it has been so much fun getting to unpack this new relationship that Karren and I have created together and started together. And I just can't wait where God is going to lead us both. Hopefully, one day through all this pandemic, we will get to meet each other and continue on this great journey that God has started us on.
I'm smiling because I'm feeling so good. I just,
I am
you
so
know,
excited.
let me tell you something. I have some words. I'm gonna just put your name up here: salon owner and life coach. How's that?
Yes.
Um, I'm going to show you something now. Little did I know it would have. Tammy, are you MI or MY?
MY.
Okay. Um, and if this is not correct, just let me know. Oh, and life coach. Sorry, let me correct that. Okay. So life coach, and we'll save that, and we'll show that. How's that?
Yes.
Okay. Um, Darn it, I lost my point. I was going to say something. Oh, I have some words up here, okay? Now, Tammy, these words were here. I was telling, I labeled tonight, Who Am I? Chapter
Hmm.
1, okay? And so I put these words up here because who am I? These words were going to come in and I was going to show you how and where they came in, but I think it's fitting right now. I put up focus, manifest, transparent, authenticity, ambitious, strategy. And I was going to mention all those words that have the same meaning, Tammy, but as I was coming up, I didn't I didn't really know those words as words to apply or that had any significant meaning to me. But when I think about I went to a vocational high school because I wanted to come out with a skill where I could go to work. Because mom has said, if you want to go to college, that's fine, but I cannot afford it. So you need a skill to get a job. I followed that path. And if
Hmm.
you want to go to college, you have to go at night because, mom couldn't afford it. I followed that path. So my point is, my focus was to get a job in a building downtown.
Hmm.
Now, today we talk about speak it, manifest it, stay focused. But that wasn't really in the picture. It wasn't. I wasn't using those words. I know I wanted a job. I
Hmm.
know I wanted to work in a building. I know I wanted to work in an office in a downtown building, but that was all focus and manifesting what I wanted. but I didn't have those words in place. I didn't have the word strategy in place. Okay, so there was a strategy, right? I had a business education and I can go downtown and work in an office and supply support in the business arena. But it really wasn't a strategy except to get a paycheck and not be, and there's nothing wrong with this, but my focus was in the office. I didn't want to do anything else but go to the office. And I wrote those words tonight and I said, okay, so I said that this morning. Okay, go ahead. Who am I? You haven't shared all of that backstory about who you are. So you don't have a guest scheduled tonight, and that's just fine. And in walks Tammy.
And let me just say, as you're talking and you were telling about your third grade teacher, it made me start reflecting. Um, you know, I'm 50 years old and thinking about how segregation and racism and all these things were as we were growing up. Um, our parents did our best to shelter us from all of these things. And at the same time, they did the best that they could with what they had. And when I was in the fourth grade, I had a school teacher who put above the chalkboard the golden rule: treat others as you want to be treated. And that has always stuck with me. And not knowing, and in the fourth grade, much about God and how God was going to direct my path and how he was going to lead me and be the leader of my life, not knowing any of that, he started me off on the right path by having, of all the teachers that you could have, I had her. And she began to speak life into me, not knowing where the direction of where you were going to go. And it's amazing how God places people in your life at the right time, at the right season, on the right day. And because of that, you can stay on focus. You can manifest. You can be ambitious. You can dream. You can reach all the strategies that you want to, even though those are big words for someone coming from a background of my parents were just trying to do what they had to do to get us through the next day. And the average African American family, Black family, whatever interchangeable way you want to call us, that's what they did. That's what they did. And if you, like you said, if you wanted to get to college, you got to figure it out. I knew I wanted a pair of shoes. It was just the most expensive thing. If you want those shoes, you better figure out how you're going to get them, because you're getting these over here. You're not getting those, so you got to figure it out. And,
Yes, yes.
when you say, who am I? That's such a simple question, but it's very hard to answer. Because
Chapter one.
yeah,
Chapter one.
as you journey, you don't know who you are. And we're not the same as we were last year. And we're not the same as we were at 25. We've changed so much. But I think at our age now, we're just now beginning to live. We just
I
now really,
totally
yeah,
agree. I
we're just
totally
now.
agree. I want to I want to share something with you in light of this same thing. These words you didn't know, authenticity. When I graduated high school, I moved to New York. And at the time, I think we were able to go to, I want to say, the unemployment office to get to seek help in seeking employment. I don't know why I think it was named something else, but anyway, it was a state employment office. And I went there and I got a job as a file clerk. And it was in a lingerie company on Madison Avenue. Well, young girl just graduating from high school has a job on Madison Avenue. The little things I had heard about Madison Avenue, I thought I had arrived. I am on top of the world. Well, I was there to file invoices. This was a
Yeah.
lingerie company that supplied lingerie to stores like Woolworths to Lloyd and Taylor.
Hmm.
And I was to be a file clerk. And okay, first I was glad to have a job, but I knew file clerk, I'm not going to be filing invoices all day. So there was an elderly woman there, and I asked her how long she had been there, and She told me 20 years. And without thinking, I said, filing invoices? I mean, that being that I know better now, years later, but that was just out of my mouth. Long story short, I was there the third day, Monday, Tuesday, on Wednesday. I had an interview at on my lunch hour, walking distance from that place. So I went to the interview, and it was for a data entry operator, right? So I went there and they gave me a test. And so I'm testing, it was inputting medical information from forms they provided. And I'm there and I'm going. The test was so long. I knew I had lost that job because, I mean, this is just the third day and I'm on lunch and it's 3 hours later. What I learned later, I was on a brand new machine that most of the employees there didn't like because they were used to their old machine, and this new one they didn't know how to operate it really. And so it's there. I was trained on the new one, so I'm doing. And after a while, the lady came over and said, she basically said this: "Okay, you're hired." Well, I was hired. I'd been there 3 hours. I couldn't go back to the other job. But what I learned is they had given me real work. I was sitting there working like a real employee,
Mhm.
thinking I'm taking a test, waiting for someone to come get me. And I say that to say that showed some ambition on my part,
Mhm.
wanting more. I didn't think about the word ambition. I didn't think about dreaming big. I didn't think about those things because they weren't in my psychic that way.
Right.
It was just simply go better, improve, get better, improve, get better, improve. And that's how that happened.
Mhm.
So back to these words, the next job I got was, by the way, I've only had two in my life. In between having my children, I have three sons, all grown. I would work temporary agencies. So the two places of employment that I worked, I got through temporary agency. So I'm there. I'm good. I went to CBS in New York. Oh, I'm on top of the world. They treat you so nice. They provided food. I'm young. This is the way the world is.
Mhm.
I'm happy. And after 3 years, one day I said to my manager, I'm tired of working with my hands. I want to work with my head. I didn't have the 5 year plan, the 10-year plan, where I wanted to be, the path I was going to take, how I was going to get there. I said it to her just like that. And you know what she said? She says, Karen, we were thinking about you. We're ready to promote you to. She was on the same page. I'm ready. I'm tired of working with my hands. I want to work with my head. It was like she was in my head on the same way.
Mhm.
So I say that to say ambition wasn't on my mind. It was just like I said. I was tired of working with my hands and I wanted to utilize my mind.
Mhm.
So I say all of that because now, as we go out into this world of entrepreneurship, for instance, and how strategies are important, how our focus is important, how telling our story has significance for attracting our audience.
Mhm.
It's well, I don't want to say it's mind blowing, but the way things have come full circle and you look back there and you smile at what you were doing, which were in a lot of ways all the right things, even though you didn't have it down on paper, you didn't have it mapped out, you didn't know step one from step two, you sort of went with gut.
Mhm. And when you go with gut, it leads you to where you are right now.
Good
But
point.
along those ways, there were some pitfalls that we did not go with the gut, and that was a lesson that we needed to learn in order to get back on the right path. And
Absolutely.
that we didn't know. We say the word gut or intuition or something told me. That is the Holy Spirit speaking to you. but you don't know that at the time. All you know is you feel like you need to move left and not right. That's what you know. And it makes sense to you. Or when you walk in a room, you're like, okay, I don't need to be in this space. Something is not right. And I need to go home. Let me out of this car when you're with your friends because something doesn't feel right.
Yes.
That is your Holy Spirit speaking to you. And the more you grow, the more you know. And that's what's so exciting about this phase in our life. It's we're just now beginning to learn all these things. We made plenty of mistakes along the way. No one is saying that we got here by osmosis and it just popped up and we didn't have a lot of lessons along the way. And I thank God for all those people who were on the sidelines to say, no, baby, you need to go this way. No, no, baby, don't get with them people. No, you're not. You're in the wrong spot. So all those people had to push us, even when we thought we were doing what was right. And we were in our. Don't tell me nothing. I'm grown. I can do what I want to. Who you think you talking to? We get all puffed up, and it's like you so dead wrong. I'm trying to help you get to the next level. I don't want what you have. I'm trying to help you get more.
That's something we have to see. Let me stop
Yes.
here and just say thank you to some of the friends and guests we have in the chat. Let's see. Kalina is saying, and I don't know at what point because we were talking. She says, I agree, Tammy. We've all evolved, and the golden rule is key. You were talking about what your teacher
Mm-hmm.
had on above the board.
Yes.
She say, I love how you stay true to your visions, Miss Karren. Thank you, Kalina. Makita, you sound like you were in disbelief, LOL. Oh, this is wonderful. Thank you all for being with us this evening. I'm telling you, you know, I can say on a variety of levels, God has presented things in my life, much like tonight, where I didn't know it was what was needed, or as the song goes, he may not come when you want him, but he right on time. and
He's
and
right
i
on
have
time.
i've had many incidents like that, and it was so warm. I just happened because I put the phone down when I'm doing my live, and I just happened, which it was meant, to see your text, to see
Mm-hmm.
your message. I cannot tell you how moved I am. Anyway, let's go ahead and share a little bit before we get off about your business and how you're doing there, and what it is you hope to see and do.
Well, my mission has, always been to, I like to serve. I know that that's part of what is ingrained in me is to serve. And so, you know, once you get out of your own way, you will understand the level of servitude that you should have for others. And as a salon stylist and owner, you meet people every day. I love to interact with people. And so I ran a little bit from the life coaching because I'm like, oh, that's just putting so much of, myself out there. And that's just doing, let me just stay right here in this little bubble. And so what God did is he positioned me with the company that I was working with, loved the owner of the business, loved everything about it. I was going to transition right into retirement. I was so excited, but God said no. He knew that I wasn't going to leave on my own. So what he did is he allowed another owner to purchase the business. And this owner restructured everything in such a way it was completely against everything that I believed in. It made me compromise my integrity and all these other things. And he says, oh, I know she's going to leave now. And I did. And led right into my life coaching of how I can reach the masses and teach women that you are worthy of whatever. In life, sometimes we don't realize, sometimes women are taught to be seen and not heard. And we need to know that we have a voice, with whatever it is in our life, with our life decisions, with goals and aspirations and dreams. We should be able to do all of that and still be okay. and not have to depend on anyone but ourselves. And so that is what life coaching is about for me in essence. It's being able to reach those women and let them know that you have value, you have worth, you can be whatever it is that you want to be, as long as you know that you believe in yourself. And that's how can we love others if we first don't love ourselves? We have nothing to give.
See that portion of what you're doing, that life coaching, runs parallel to what I'm doing with, for the most part, it's women. I say EAs, executive assistants in the C-suite. That's the executive assistant who supports usually that CEO. Sometimes more, the CEO. They might support the CFO, the chief financial officer, or a
Mm-hmm.
couple others, but mainly it's that CEO. Now, if that individual is running the top of the company and you're walking right beside him, in a lot of instances, you're doing much more than that typical assistance.
Exactly.
So, my mission is to train the executive assistant to transform to strategic partner, which they really are.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have CEOs who give the title to their executive assistant because they acknowledge and they recognize the value that individual brings. Others let the executive assistant title just languish, and therefore that's also a way to keep salary at a certain level, because if I'm an assistant and a lot of people just view that as a glorified secretary, I mean, we don't hear that word much today, but basically they're viewing it in that light. They're not looking at someone who is well versed in the industry. Perhaps they're not looking at someone who attends meetings on behalf of their exec, because a lot of your communication is on that executive's level. So you may be dealing with other CEOs in other companies, and you're doing things to help keep your executives' business rolling when they can't be in a certain spot. You're the go to person. You have
Mm-hmm.
to be able to communicate succinctly and on a level that complements what it is they would like, to have conveyed. So I'm real passionate about that, because when I started in that field, I was not trained to be an executive assistant. I was an administrator at a university with the same person that I left with to be their assistant in the corporate world. So
Mm-hmm.
really, in the corporate world, that title of what I was doing was executive assistant. So that's how
Mm-hmm.
I fell there. But I had autonomy in my job. I I hear something came on. I don't know what that is. Do you hear an echo in the back
I'm
or
not
someone
here.
speaking? If anyone can hear any background stuff out there, let me know. I don't know what I can do about it. But anyway, um, that is why I'm so passionate, to make a long story short. And I consider my secret sauce emotional intelligence, or soft skills. So
Mm-hmm.
you need to get to know that person in here. You need to be able to recognize that you need XYZ strength. And that's the beautiful thing about emotional intelligence. There's skills that can be built upon, that you can get better at. And one of the first pillars is self awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't know who you are, what makes you tick, I often give this simple example. If you know, for instance, that working in a real high stressed environment is not for you, you should basically stay away from law firms that are involved in lots of litigation, because
Mm-hmm.
the atmosphere is going to be all ramped up with billable hours and getting ready to go to court and doing filings. You may need to stay away from those kinds of environments. um, and that's how I describe one area of basically self awareness. Some people are in positions in environments that do not complement them,
Mm-hmm.
but their self awareness hasn't risen to that level to be able to concretely identify that, and being open to someone else's views, not just your own.
Mm-hmm.
Having empathy. I think I think probably having empathy has risen several levels in light of the pandemic, because people are able to see, well, they were with the virtual world.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that is, but I'm hearing all of this noise. People were able to see, a kid run in the room because everybody's home. Your home life presented a whole different view that your work life had no idea of. So I think, in recognition of that, I mean, everyone had to adjust for sure, but also now it's not just me. I have a life, I have a home, I have children, things get stressful. So having someone empathize with that, I think, has risen to another level, I'd like to say.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, we had to learn through the pandemic how to pivot in order to prosper. And when you didn't know, you had to set your office on the kitchen table while your kids were over there playing or doing their homework, and you're not used to that life meshing in that way. Everything is always separate. So now that you had to blend that in together, we dealt with a lot of mental health awareness with
Oh
that.
yes. Oh yes.
We really have to kind of take a step back and really kind of analyze and relearn how to use basic skill sets, how to learn how to deal with things when we're stressed. If you are stressed out, and normally you could go to your car for 5 minutes or you take your little lunch or what have you. But now you couldn't do that because your kids were right there and they're pulling on you, and they don't understand that you're at work. They're, if they do, they don't care that you're at work. They know
They
that
want
mommy is
your
here.
attention.
Yes, they just want you to fix a sandwich. That's I'm hungry. And so having to get that adjustment and no outlet, no sense of an outlet, and even our children having to deal with that. And we have to think about some of our kids have been dealing with stressors from way back. You remember when we had a lot of shootings in schools all over the country.
Yes, yes.
So this was prior COVID. They were already dealing with that. And now you're going to bring COVID into their face. They don't know how to process these things. And if parents aren't in tune with their children, they don't know how to help them process these things. And so you still got, instead of you arguing with your spouse, you're arguing with your kids. And everybody just needs to learn how to depress and really recognize what the true essence of this is, this underlining thing that's got the problem, and the whole house is arguing. And we don't even know why.
Yes, yes. I like to say, notwithstanding the lives lost, the sickness, the economical impact on households, there's still been a lot of good to learn from this whole situation. The pivoting you're talking about. I said on occasion, I say some husbands and wives got to know each other in the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic. Some parents got to know their kids because they had them 24/7. When there was a time they could send them off to school, they may have an after school activity, they may have been something you could break away and do to give you some me time. And all of those things, I think, have brought a great awareness to the family structure, and notwithstanding emotional problems. I remember my girlfriend told me the other day, she said, you can't get a job with a therapist, they're all booked.
That's right.
Isn't that something?
They're all booked. They're trying to teach people how to deal with these issues. And, you know, what a time as this, where I was running from being a life coach, and look at where we are at this point. It's so poignant how you need to readjust people and empower them. And kind of sometimes, I have clients that come in and they just want to vent. And
Yes.
it's like, I have this one that's coming to my mind. realized she hated her job. She hated her job. She hated dealing with people. She was in HR. She's like, I'm sick of all of this, but I stay here because of the money. She said, let's be honest. I'm staying here because of the money. And she went home and told her husband she was going to look for another job. And the first thing he says, well, are you going to give up getting your hair done? She said, absolutely not. She said, she is my therapist. I have to go to her for multiple reasons. This is why I do what I do. Because if they don't share those things with you, you really don't understand the impact that you have on people's lives.
The other thing too is, speaking of self-awareness, it sounds like she's come to an awareness, because you could keep on down that road and you'll burn out,
You'll burn
and
out.
it will affect your being able to go to work.
That's right.
So, good that you recognize it and set course for something that, is more complimentary. So, Tammy, I want to thank you again. You know what, Tammy? Can you put your information? Do you have a way to put it in over there? If not, I can put it in over here. If people wanted to reach out to you, how could they do it? You have some contact information you could share.
Yes, I'll put it in the chat.
Okay.
Um, I'll give you my Instagram as well as other things that you can reach out to me.
Yes, because we have some folks here in the chat, and you never know. You may be just the person someone wants to get in touch with for some life coaching. I looked for you this morning.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I
What was
did.
what was this morning? Today was my it was a different day for me, so I
Okay.
had to kind of back away a little bit.
Okay. Got
Um,
that. Hey, we're allowed. I wasn't there last week.
yes, and on Facebook it's just my name, Tammy Jones.
Okay. I want to thank everybody who joined us this evening. I see Makita. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. She says, I'm here for some tips. So let us know if you got some tips. Okay, Tammy, I see your information. Let's see, new comments. Yes, she says knowing your why is important. That is so true, because
Hmm.
that is really what keeps you going. That is so, thank you for just pointing that out. So true. So I don't know what that was, Makita. I heard it in my headset. It sounded like I don't know, some other outside something came in, but I don't know what it was, but it's gone now. Yes, when we don't love ourselves, it shows in our character and attitude. Absolutely. And Kalina says, very true. I was feeling stagnant, so I started reading and setting new goals. And that's another thing
Absolutely.
we're doing. The reading is everything. We need to continue to read for our self development as well as our education. And so you put your Tammy underscore Jones underscore Premier Studio 25. Is that your IG?
That's my IG.
Okay.
That's
And
my
then
IG.
Vagara, did I pronounce that correctly?
Viguero.
Vigero. Oh, that's a
Hmm.
O. Okay. Vigero.com. And that's backslash Premier Studio 25, Raleigh, North Carolina. All righty
Hmm.
then. Well, we got Raleigh in the house and we got Philadelphia in the house, and God brought this union together this evening, and we thank everyone. Tammy, are there any last words you like to share with the audience? Any
Um,
give us
well,
a good
again, I
some
just want to thank you for inviting me to the call tonight. And we need to just look at ourselves and know that we are worthy of all things good.
amen. Amen. I'll go with that. And I want to thank everyone who tuned in tonight. And I also think that Who Am I came from someone recently asking me, was I writing a book? And when they asked me, one, I wondered why they asked me, and then I let that go and said, I need to write a book. So I guess a book is on the way.
A book
So
should be on the way.
yes,
We're learning all of that. That's what I'm in the process of doing right now myself. And you know, we have to know that we have what others are seeking. And we
yes,
have to come from behind the wall and get in front so
yes,
that they can see that. We have to
yes.
make ourselves visible so that they can find us. And so that's a journey that we all go on. It's not just because you can see Karen and I's face. I mean, we all have those struggles. And, we all go through that. And, just be your authentic self. When you put yourself out there, you put your face out there, be true to yourself.
And don't be afraid to offer help and receive help,
Absolutely.
because it comes in a variety of ways. I know that in my mind, I wasn't ready to leave work. So I thought. But having had to leave, I did not know what was on the other side. And I am so grateful and I am so thankful. And y'all, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to sign off this evening. EAs in the C-suite.com is pleased to have our guest Tammy Jones here with us
Thank you.
tonight. I'm telling you, she stepped right in at a time when she was needed. How about that? And we welcome her. I also thank you for tuning in every Thursday at 7 p.m. We welcome you. EAs in the C Suite is all about increasing your emotional intelligence to transform from assistant to strategic partner. My website is easinthec-suite.com. If you want to reach me, info at easinthec-suite.com. And I look forward to hearing from you. And for those who may catch us on the replay, please hashtag replay. And we thank you so much. And we'll say so long for now. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. And as
Yes.
we learned tonight, you never know who's going to pop up on Karen's Carrots.
You never
So
know.
you never know.
Giving you some nuggets for the day.
Hey, so needed and grateful to receive. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And folks out there, we'll see you next time, Thursday at 7 p.m. on Karen's Carrots. I'll see you, Tammy, on Monday.
Yes, absolutely. 10
Okay.
a.m.
Take care, everybody. Thanks again. Good
Thank
night.
you. Good night.